Good evening and welcome to another version of the Online Imagination Club. There's a couple of ground rules. I'm recording this, so if you're not happy about that, please put a mask on or tell me not. It's not for general distribution, it's for people that have paid and missed it, and also for review for Jules. It's not going to be put out on social media any form. I may, sometime during the stage, if we're having fun, take a screenshot. Again, I will say, please say cheese. If you don't want to be in the photograph, sneeze or something at the appropriate moment, or turn your head or video off, whatever. Again, that's not going to be plastered everywhere over social media, mainly on the Imagination Club site, just to say, hey, look, we're having fun. Because hopefully we will. I think that's all the rules, and here we are with Jules. I had to say that because it rhymes. A little bit about our guest speaker this evening. Jules, I've known for quite a few years now, actually. And hold on, my dog's trying to come in. Get out. Oh, no. Yeah, so here's a little, let me see, I was prepared with a little description of Jules, so you get to know her a little bit. Come on, out. Out, out, out. And the dog's around my feet sniffing to any bits of food I've dropped. Come on. Get out before you start barking. Yeah, sorry. So Jules is a designer and an executive creative director with over 20 years of experience of the field in design and education. She's worked with educational institutions, government initiatives, museums and corporations in the field of creating experiences and environments that inspire creative thinking. She has designed and developed educational programs, products, and learning environments. We have another one. And she is an expert at executing innovative programming centered on child or adult learning and inspiring individuals to reach their full potential. And some of you may know her from thinking of, or thinking with things, not thinking of things. That's what we're going to be doing tonight. So we do have Manuela. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. You didn't have the link.
You didn't have the link. How
yeah, so I was lost.
But you're here, and that's the most
now I'm here.
It's the most important thing, so you're very welcome.
Thank you.
So that was the introduction. Welcome one and all. Jules, the screen is yours.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Well, he just did my whole introduction, but otherwise, what I want to do first, and what I do mostly in all trainings, is I want to begin with you. And so everybody hopefully has brought their box of things. If not, quickly grab at least one thing. This is my box of red objects. I have thousands and thousands of objects, as you can imagine, because when I do physical workshops, I take lots. And I will begin. So I have the red things, and this is the one that I chose tonight to represent me. And I feel really, like maybe some of you, in the last 4 months, I've been floating around on this. I'm hoping that normalcy saves me. It hasn't yet. I haven't found the boats, but I continue to float on this to hope to find my way. So that's my one thing. And so what we'll probably do is start in the upper corner with Andy and kind of go around if everybody wants to introduce themselves through their thing.
Okay, so what's on my desk? There's lots of things that I can choose that I think to represent me, but one of the things that I think has been, I've had in my hand a lot over the years, that's going to be intriguing, isn't it? Is this, a clicker. For many, many years I've been a trainer, and anytime I've ever had to use a PowerPoint presentation, this has been my little bit. I don't think this one works anymore. I don't know why I've still got it. I need to reuse the batteries. Yeah, so this represents me. It's me being a trainer, presenter, on stage, talking to people.
Nice. Wonderful. Okay. Let's go over to Dalia.
Okay, for today I took antibacterial cells present myself because really I used it a lot during my job because I, how to say, sanitize my hand before each client, and it turns it's very useful during lockdown as well. So I have different types everywhere, and I have no problem with buying these ones because I have it everywhere at home and in my bags and things like that.
Nice. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Ellen? Oh, you had to unmute.
Gotta unmute, Ellen.
Wait.
That's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
A keychain. It's a bird, and it's a keychain holder from a company called Mamzel, which is in Flanders, and they have a web shop. They also do home parties. And I wanted to become a Mamzel. I had my starting day the 14th of March, and then everything stopped.
Yes.
And it also represents like treating yourself with beautiful things, even though you don't need them, and just do it anyway, if you like it or not in the end.
Nice. Lovely. Thank you. Okay, Mike? Journey 6F.
You see the little key.
Okay.
So a key is pretty important for me in terms of I try to help unlock people's potential and arrive at their stated goals. So key.
Nice.
I had this one, but it's just not so exciting.
Is it a lid?
It's a coffee lid.
Oh, it looks like a Nutella lid. Yeah.
I had this one, but I couldn't explain it. keep them nearby. We might need them later. Okay. Shamina?
Oh, me. It's interesting how everybody showed something that is relevant to today's time, and that's exactly what I was thinking as well. This is like a paper clip, and it's like trying to hold everything together right now. That's what I'm trying to do. And then I got this one also. It's for my hair, and it's like when I have a bad hair day. So I need to hold things together too.
Yeah. So your collection is this sort of connections and holding things together.
Yeah, of things that, and then I found a stapler. So
nice. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Like things to hold together. That's what we're all trying to do, I think.
Yeah, exactly. We are. Okay, Bez? You had to unmute as well.
Sorry, I was making guacamole. So you have a choice, everybody, or you can have an onion.
It's actually something that represents you, my dear Bess.
The trophy.
The winner.
For the onion.
Because they're both, I'm very multi-layered like an onion. But this trophy I gave away today to 70 people, and I still have it. And that's the great thing about my trophy, is that I give it away virtually now to every winner of every time we do a team building or something. They win this trophy. And it's still here.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who's got the trophy with all of those nice people inside the trophy who have won it already. So that's my
lovely. You know,
it's a winner.
It is. One small story about that is when I started working on this, I was taking pictures of all the baskets and baskets of objects, which my son adores. And he said, "Does this mean we keep them all?" Because now they're all on the screen. So so he thinks we can just stray these all over the house actually now. So that's cool. All right, Miriam?
Hello. So I was completely unprepared and grabbed spontaneously something. And the first was a flower, because I love gardening and flower, and maybe sometimes it represents me as well, shiny and positive. But also, I think it's very important, the European Union, because I think it is really important to hold Europe together. And this is what I do professionally. I love to explain what it's all about. And I think this represents me as well. And I would consider myself as a full-time European.
Nice. Good. Thank you. Okay, Manuela?
Just hello. So I have a, I don't know if you see it well.
A turtle, lovely.
Yes, it's a sea turtle.
a wooden sea turtle. And well, that's because it's my favorite animal. I'm very attached to it, and it is a very fascinating animal with a lot of symbols and metaphors. And perhaps one very, very interesting thing that I don't know if everybody knows, but sea turtles travel for many, many, many kilometers, and then they always come back to the same beach to lay their eggs. And that's a big mystery of nature, but it's also a very nice metaphor that I like to apply to my life.
Lovely. Wow, nice. Wonderful. Thank you. Last, I'm going to say the name wrong. Dion? Yeah, wait, I had to unmute. Yeah.
That's better.
This is Dion. Well, I'm not sure about which object which item I'm supposed to present.
Okay, so we
my heart or something that I use today, or
so no, I had asked in the pre-work is to create a small collection of like everyday objects, and then find one that represents you. So maybe there is something laying around you, I don't know, that you could that could represent you. I don't know if you find anything at your desk or
no, not really. No.
Your glasses?
Yeah, I like the glasses.
You could,
yeah, your glasses. What represents me. I missed the pre-work. I just rolled in yesterday, so I don't know what would represent me really, honestly.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll continue, and then you'll see a little bit later. There'll be lots of objects that you can use as visual representations. That's kind of the idea of Think with Things, which I'll just go into now. So, Think with Things, I began the sort of methodology of it or the using of it about 20 years ago. When I was working with teachers, designing classrooms and learning environments and children. And the first time I went in to work with children, I took, really enthusiastically big white paper and pencils and colored pencils and some pictures of, we were doing a playground. So I was taking pictures of playgrounds and asked them to design their dream playground. And there were children were between the ages of 6 and 12. And I went away with pictures of flowers and snakes and guns and princesses, lots of princesses actually. And I came home with this collection of coloring pages and I thought, okay, I have no idea how to turn this into a playground. No idea. So the next time I went back, I took a big basket of just stuff laying around the house, corks and paper rolls and pen caps and bottle tops and toys and little people and animals and fabrics, all kinds of stuff actually. And I poured it out on the table. And the first thing I noticed immediately was every child came to the table and grabbed something and started talking. Whereas when I gave them the white piece of paper, only a few started engaging immediately. Some were quiet the entire time. They were working individually. They never really started collaborating. And this was sort of, I guess you say, the aha moment when I realized that these things hold a lot of power in helping us to show our thinking and to communicate. And so fast forward about lots of years. So about 3 years ago, I sort of did a refocus, a switch, a pivot, I guess, to business. I'm still working in education, but also doing business training workshops and helping teams to think in this way, to collaborate and to use things as tools to show what they're thinking and to solve problems. A lot of times I've done, actually with Mike, we've done from stress management to conflict resolution to just normal team buildings. And it was going really, really well, I have to say. And I had this little trolley full of thousands of objects all sorted nicely. And then I think as we all had, COVID hit and everything stopped. We could no longer go into spaces, and definitely not am I going to take this and hundreds of people touch the same objects. It's just not going to happen. And so as all the people were translating their trainings to online, I was really struggling, because the key to this, and that's why I started with everybody collecting something and holding on to it, is this idea of holding it, of physically feeling this thing and handing it to somebody else, and the other person moving it on the table physically. So I didn't for many months find a way to recreate that or to translate that until I found this platform Miro, which hopefully you've all logged onto. So we're going to tonight do a real experiment, because I haven't done an online training like this before, where we play with this idea of objects and making a visual representation with objects and the platform of Miro. And what I find super exciting about this is where I was physically carrying my objects to a group of people in the same place. I'm setting them all down at a table physically. Now we have the ability to come from all over the world to the same table and play in this way. And for me, that's very exciting. It's just a matter of designing the space in such a way that's very intuitive and easy for everyone. And before I'm going to share my screen, I'm going to share it in just a second. I wanted to share something really interesting with you. When I was researching this, I started looking at the definitions of virtual and remote. I don't know if anybody's done that, but they're not really very positive words, actually. For instance, the synonyms for remote are inaccessible, lonesome, solitary, isolated, all of these things. And so what I really want to try to do is try to make a virtual remote workshop, which are the antonyms. So the antonyms of virtual and remote are, I've written them down, so I'm going to look over here for a second: authentic, real, social, open, approachable, and possible. So tonight I want to try to figure out if it's possible to make remote and virtual like this. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Screen share. So now I'm showing you what is the Miro board. Can everybody sees it? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So this is the kind of introduction page that I've made. The Miro, has anybody actually used a Miro before? Maybe that's a good, brilliant. Okay, so we're all new to it, except for two. I know Bess has used it, but for some reason I don't see Bess in my screen anymore. I need to widen it. So here is kind of what the introduction of this workshop is. The title is, What Do You Bring to the Table? You can see on here the Miro space. Up here is the name of my workshop. Over here on the top right corner is things that we're not really going to be concerned with tonight. Also, if we go diagonally down to the lower left right corner, those tools are also not really concerned with what we're doing tonight. The important tools are over on the left hand side. Can everybody see my cursor over there moving?
Yep.
So the first two aren't really useful, except for the arrow we're always on, and that helps us to move things. The T, the text, we can write if we need. There's sticky notes, which act really like normal sticky notes. You can have different colors and then type on those. There's different shapes that you can use if you need. There's arrows, there's drawing, all kinds of things. Then the lower three, we're not going to use either. So if we go back up to the arrow, I'm going to just quickly slide the introduction screen out of my way. And what you see now on this screen will be, I'm calling the play space. So when we get to the Zoom breakout sessions, so you'll be in 2 in pairs, you will, it will show a room number. So when you enter the Zoom breakout, it says you're going to be in room 1 or room 2. And then you click on the blue button and that's the room you're in. That will correspond with your table number. So you'll go find your table. I'll show you a little bit more of the tables in just a second. But this is the space that you'll see. We're zoomed in, so this is the only thing that we see. It's a very simple task, actually. You're going to together create a face out of the objects. There's a little bit of a description here on a sticky note. We're going to move that out of the way quickly. And here you see a face. The objects are, you just pick them up and move them around. You can make them bigger or smaller, as you see here. You can rotate them with this cool little rotation thing. You put your name, sorry, I should have said that first actually. You put your name here so we know what seat you're at. So the 2 of you are at a seat. And you together have 20 minutes to co-create a face. And what you're really trying to do is to play with and experiment with as much of this area, this universe as you can. Making things bigger or smaller, moving things around. You can also duplicate up here in the corner. If you go into little 3 dots, there's lots of different criteria there. Mike, did you have a question?
Yeah, so when we go into our rooms, we'll each, so there'll be 2 of us, one on either side of that imaginary table, and we'll all have those options, the animals, nature, yellow, blue, red, all to choose from, right? Yes. Every team, okay.
Every team has the same prompt, the same objects.
Super.
Yeah. So, and you just really literally grab them and pick them and move them over, right? It's quite simple, actually. It gets a little bit more complicated if you want to use the tools, but in fact, actually, I've designed it in the way that you don't really even have to use any text or sticky notes if you don't want to. It can only be about the objects, right? And if I zoom out from here, so this is my introduction, and we can go down, and this are all the tables. So this is the beauty of the Miro space, is I can design it like a room that you normally have your trainings in. And I can have, right now, since we're not very many, I can even take away more tables, but I have actually the possibility of 12 tables or more. I've put this little white sheet over these, so to say these tables are not in use. So when you go into a Zoom breakout and it says you're in room 1, then you can find table 1, zoom in, and the optimal zoom is about 10%, where you're not seeing anybody else's tables. So all that work is going on all over the board, but I'm only concentrated on this board with my partner, and we're working on this. The only kind of niggly thing right now is that we don't have a timer in Miro, so you have to kind of keep track of your own 20 minutes, and then you're going to get like kicked back into Zoom, and then we'll have a group discussion about everybody's tables after that. Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does a face have to depict a particular emotion or just anything?
So yeah, if you look up there underneath the where it says co-create a face.
Okay.
I have asked you think a little bit, you know, because I want it to be. I don't want you to do this in like 2 seconds and say, oh, there we go, there's a face. I mean, I would like you as a team to think about the different, you know, does it have a gender? Or does it express an emotion? Is it a certain age? Is it a certain culture? Does it have certain talents? Yeah, so the real idea is to use the objects to represent as much as you can through the face. And I mean, this is a very simple task, but we've used it in the past with very complex issues. You know, like explain the barriers to communication in your team. And then everybody starts building, you know, the barriers. So the thing is that what I really want you to see is that it's the tools. Think of things as the tools that you can use to really any topic that you approach. So, yeah. Anyone else? Question? All right.
Andy can set a timer, Jules, and Andy can warn us 1 minute or 2 minutes before we have to come back to the main room, so that we do actually have a warning.
Yes.
On Zoom.
Okay. Brilliant. Actually, as you mentioned that, I forgot to mention 2 things. If you have a question while you're in your breakout, you can do one of 2 things. You can ask a comment in Zoom, or there's a button called Ask a Question. Is it called Ask a Question? I think it is. And then I will be brought to your little space, and then you can ask me virtually what your question is. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Did you have a question, Ellen?
Yeah, you're gonna tell us how to get in at the table in Miro, or?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna share now. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen somehow. Actually, wait. I need to get back here. Andy, I might need a little bit of help. How do I stop sharing screen? Actually,
at the top. If you move your mouse towards the top of your screen, you should be able to see stop sharing.
I have to go on the 3.
Or I can stop it for you if you want.
Yeah, stop it. I don't know. I don't see it. Or something. Oh, it's here. Okay.
Is that better?
Yes.
I can do it too.
I couldn't
Good teamwork.
I couldn't find that screen anymore, actually. Okay. So
full of power.
Share, the link in the
chat.
Yeah. And that will take you to the intro screen. And then you just have to scroll down and find your table once you're in your Zoom breakout. So
Right.
you can go ahead and get on there.
Okay, I'm now opening all rooms.
Everybody ready to go in the Zoom breakout? Nobody has any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, look at her. Isn't she beautiful?
He's beautiful.
No.
Manuela and Bess, explain yourselves a little bit.
Go for it, Manuela.
I mean, I'm very happy to introduce you to Pamela Lacrosse. You see there is PL in her necklace. She has a double life. During her day, she works at a bank, but actually she's a very good actress and singer, so in Broadway, actually. So when she leaves the bank every day, she goes to the theater. She has a wild life, and she's so beautiful. And by the way, she doesn't really like her job in the bank, so this is why she has how you call it?
She has a clothespin on her nose because that job stinks.
Yeah, and the client stinks and the colleagues stink. And she has a boyfriend, which is the big sea turtle that is trying to kiss her, but normally her technique to avoid it is to blow a plastic balloon. But she has also conflict, you were saying, Bess.
Yes, she has a moral conflict because balloons are bad for the ocean. And so between the turtle and the balloon, she's sort of torn because she doesn't really care for the turtle that much either. And he keeps trying to kiss her. But she has all these other admirers. All these guys are trying to come and help her. And there's also an evil pirate that swims along with the turtle. He's hiding just under his right hand.
I see him.
Yeah, so the fact is that she's really tortured, and she drowns her sorrows on the stage at night when she sings her heart out. Pamela Lacrosse, the most beautiful actress and bank teller in the world.
Yeah,
very good, very good.
lovely. Super nice.
Oh, and she has a clothespin holding her hair together to keep things connected.
Ah,
Or her hair stinks, one or the other.
It doesn't look like it stinks. It has sunflowers in it.
Manuela, I'm very happy that you got your turtle in there somehow.
Yeah, I really didn't know how to place it, but finally.
He's got a starring role, he's got a leading role.
Absolutely, kissing her on the cheek. Good, thank you, wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna go from there to table number 2.
Oh.
In pink.
Octopussy.
Octopussy. This is the boyfriend of Pelosi. Got long red hair. And he's only has eye for her. And I'm making this up because we didn't have a story that we told. So Dahlia's like, what's going on? What is this thing? Dahlia, what do you want to help me out and stop me from my madness here? Do you want to say anything?
I think you are describing him perfectly. So please proceed.
Okay, the name of our guy is P. Right, and he's in shock when he saw table 1. He was, look at that face. There's a complete shock face, exactly, and that's what we want. And he's a little bit embarrassed. That's why he's got those red cheeks going. And when he just doesn't know what to do. He would love to come over and say hello to her, but he sees this big turtle that's kind of in front of him, and he's got, he's blocked. So he's again shocked. He doesn't know what to do. End of story.
Yay! Thank you. Very good.
Dahlia was great. Dahlia was fantastic to work with, I have to say. It was really, there's this idea of asking questions back and forth, and we never figured out how to rotate, by the way.
No, we didn't either. We couldn't rotate.
There is when you select the image.
Yeah.
It's now not doing it because I'm in presentation mode, but so there's a blue box that comes around it, and then in the lower left corner is a little arrow that looks like a refresh button.
Oh.
And then you can rotate. Yeah. But I was actually really, because I can see all, like I zoomed out and saw all 4 working at the same time. And I was really happy at all the tools that you guys were using and duplicating and those kind of things. So
we tried.
I love the eye shade.
Yeah, thank you.
That was nice.
We tried to use, on the left-hand side menu, all the way down at the bottom. You showed me this once and you can click on it and get icons from the web and stuff.
You weren't supposed to go there. I said not to go there. No,
you rebel.
Yeah, no, it's true that there's a really cool option of Miro. I'll show you when I'm out of this screen, where you can find icons from the web and add them. So if you needed a
turtles, Manuela, you can get tons of different turtles.
So yeah, but we don't need it now because there's lots of things on here. But yeah, no, that's the next step. Once we got these tools worked out, we'll go farther. So let's go to table 3 before because I told Andy I wouldn't even go till 8:30, and now it looks like we're going to go long actually. So table 3, Ellen and Miriam.
Well, we were maybe a little bit minimalistic, but well, this guy, his name is Quirky. It's a guy, and he's a very funny and friendly person. And we have here so happy feet as a nose, so brings us in the mood. And he is blinking with left eye, and so just a friendly face. Ellen, would you like to add something?
No, it was perfect. But we also talked about it's a he, but he's also, gender is maybe not that important because he likes to wear earrings, and he's got this Madonna mold, and and he carries this little puppet, you know, like in Dutch it's a zorgenpoppetje, you know, like when he's quirky and he's really cheerful, but when he's worried about something, he tells it to the puppet.
Oh, nice.
Where's the puppet?
In the sunflower.
In the ear.
Oh.
Yes.
It's ear. Well, it's earrings actually, but it can be ear as well.
Yeah. Nice.
Very nice.
Wonderful. This is thank you. When I was taking pictures of things, I got super excited with the idea that I could add fruit and flowers into the things, because when I really started doing this, once I said to everybody to bring circles, and this one teacher brought all blue things, and she brought blueberries, and so they had to sort them in the beginning of the workshop, and so it was 100 teachers. So she threw all these blueberries in the box of blue objects, and I didn't find it for like a month. So then from then on, I always told people like no fresh fruit, no, you know, like, so now I can have bananas and sunflowers in the things. So thank you, Miriam and Ellen. That's lovely. I like the simplicity of it. All right, table 4.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Paperclip for the nose.
Mute my audio, yes. Yeah, so I did find my paperclip. What amazing, isn't it? Just to show that Jules have lots of stuff in a basket. So
Yeah.
Brava.
yeah, so yes. So, well, yeah, I mean, I couldn't really think of a gender for this person. So it's, I think, anything that you want him or her to be. And emotion is like a bit quirky and curious, and there is a juggler, so that's a talent, so that's why the hat. And so the Finnish juggler be able to give a bow. So yeah, so this is a hat, but a hat as better can be. So so yeah, so those are the 2 years, which is like a flappy thing which they can do to make people laugh along with the juggling. So it's more like a clown, you could say, maybe in a circus, or just performing and making people happy and go around. This is a bad hair day, so you can say, I want to turn this around, but I couldn't. So.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Is he a hypnotist as well with those eyes? I'm getting mesmerized.
No, actually, yeah, it could be. I mean, that could be something, because he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, look into my eyes.
Yeah,
or tripping on LSD.
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, I just lost his balls while juggling. So yeah, it turned out to be a he. So I started with no gender, but ultimately had to be something. Yeah, so that's what it was.
Excellent.
Bravo.
Round of applause. Brilliant.
Wonderful. Yay. Okay. So I'm going to, actually, I was thinking to stop. Yeah, I'll stop sharing. There we go. So since we're quite a small group, I had an idea to go back to Miro and do a sticky note thing. But I think since we're such a small group, I'm going to just write down some of your ideas, and maybe Andy can help me to write them down. But what I am really interested in is sort of your impressions, your first impressions, or your deep impressions of what do you think about this? Was it good? Do you think that we could go farther? In what way? If you could just kind of give us 2 or 3 ideas on how you see this going farther in the activity. And I mean, because what I'm really trying to do is, and I think everybody had it a little bit, hopefully, is to make these kind of Zoom sessions, these kind of long day remote sessions, in some way energizing and fun, and not that the 20 minutes does go fast and doesn't feel like, oh, really, I have another 10 minutes of this, you know. So right,
maybe an idea, and I totally agree. I am working in events and struggling since beginning of March, and with finding ways to make them dynamic and so on, creative. We have a lot of buzzwords, and then the reality is that it's very, very difficult. But just first thought, when we were, for example, doing this game, perhaps another level is to make people rotate. So people start working on a table after, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. They already have the phase more or less defined, and you change, so the other person change, and so you have to continue the phase with somebody else.
Okay. Oh yeah, that could be funny. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Anybody else? I think Shamima had to go.
Yeah, she did.
I was trying to watch the chat, but I was also listening.
I'm there. Sorry, in the chat. Don't worry.
Good.
Dahlia.
I just had the idea. I don't know for what reason that would be but just from my qualitative research focus groups, like to ask the question, what would happen if these people would meet in the party? What
would they talk about?
What would happen? Yes, what they would talk about maybe, or what they would think about each other and things like that. Just, I don't know how to put that to the continuation of this exercise. But when Mike started to talk about what our guy thought about that first lady, it was really fun, you know, creating a story. So yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, good idea. Okay. Anybody else?
I don't know. I was thinking about Miriam when she said, you know, she had that little flag for the EU, and I can imagine this idea where she says she uses this to sort of, you know, give people sort of free rein to say, okay, how do you see Europe? You know, and draw not necessarily a face, but draw something that represents it for even Europe, and really unleash that creative capacity of people. And I thought, oh, that would be kind of, I don't know, I'm just jumping on that one, Miriam, but making a connection. There you go. There you go.
What I'm always doing when I give presentations, I have always the European flag with me in different formats. And it's my talking piece. And I ask them, what do you think Europe represents to you? Or what does it mean for you? Or tell me one word, what comes to your mind? And so for me, this is an icebreaker, how to use it. But this is just to reply to you. But what I think with this object exercise, for us, Ellen and me, it was a nice way how to immediately start conversating and have a conversation. I think it's a perfect icebreaker as well. What is your experience, Jules?
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said in the beginning, that was my first impression when I came to this, was that when I gave children, and it also works with adults, a piece of white paper and pencils, it takes them some time, and they're quite individual, because that's what we're used to, right? A piece of paper is my individual thoughts quietly on a paper. But when you have the objects, people immediately start talking, and when we do the physical workshops, a lot of times we set the objects out in a beautiful row in colors or, you know, shapes. And first of all, a lot of people think that they are like snacks. Like we put out all kinds of candy for them, you know, when they enter the room, woohoo! bags and bags of candy. But no, absolutely, it immediately sparks conversation when we do it, and everyone, no matter what objects we have, everyone finds one object which speaks to them, and that's exciting. So.
Yeah. It's eye candy, Jules.
Yeah, but if I can recreate that, I mean, the only issue is if it has the same, outcomes as it does when we physically hold them. I mean, that's what I want to get to. And I think it did. When I saw you working with it and I heard your stories afterwards, your stories are so rich after 20 minutes that they are very similar to the, skits. People create skits when we have these objects, and we have much more complicated questions. So yeah, I think it has a potential for that. Yeah.
Excellent. I've got a couple of ideas. When I first saw this in the Imagination Club, I remember we actually made a story. We're all taking it from a different perspective. You gave us a different perspective from a Viking, I think.
Think like a mouse.
Think like a mouse, or whatever.
Like a Viking, yeah.
I think mine was a Viking, and then I made a video of the story of the whole table. So that would have been I don't know how you can incorporate that and get the videos together afterwards.
I already have thought about that, but I don't know how to do it.
Nor do I.
Yeah.
But the second thing, when I was a child, I can't remember if it was at school or somewhere, but we used to have a sheet of A4 paper, and then on the top third of the paper, you draw a big head. And then you'd fold the head over and pass on the paper to the next person, and you'd get the next piece of paper. And then you drew the body. And then you fold it over again, and then you pass it on to the next person, then you drew the legs. So you never knew what the person looked like until the end.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you could, on a table, get one group to do the head, then the next group comes along and does the body, and then the next group comes along and does the legs.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. I still do that with my children, actually. That
Okay.
activity, yeah.
As an alternative, then you got a whole body rather than just a head.
Yeah, that's a nice idea, going along with what Manuela said of when they come, because I was thinking, like, the only thing you don't want is that you've worked really hard on making this, and then the other person comes along and says, oh, I'm taking this off and that off and that off, But if they built onto the body, that's quite an interesting take on it.
So you could say not allowed to touch the previous body parts.
You can touch it, but yeah, you have to be
slight rotation of the eye.
I'm thinking on the opposite angle. If you were to have the table full of all the objects, if you were going to do, say, a workshop about efficiency, how to work efficiently and how not to waste your time on false messages and fake news, and on the table you have a big pile of stuff, and ask people to take away everything except the thing that you want to leave there.
Okay.
That you want to tell your story with. And that's a bit like going back to your eye candy. It's like people only select one or two things. So that's why you deselect, And in terms of some teams where people don't communicate well, or there's too much email or too much junk, taking stuff away is really what their objective is.
Yeah, that is actually super interesting. The only one trick I think of that is when I have done it where I have thrown all these things in a pile, they look like trash. I mean, they're the things that people throw away from underneath their sofa. It's because we put them in beautiful boxes and completely out of context that they start to see them as something else and then to represent something else. So I think it's a cool idea, but I'd have to try to find a way to do it where when they see the table, it's still somehow beautiful and
attractive.
Yeah, exactly, and not a bit out of context. But we have done one in the past where one team builds the problem, and then the other team sort of deconstructs it and keeps the only part that's good. Takes away the pieces that are the problem. So that is a kind of a
very similar
idea. Yeah, exactly.
I really need to go, but I really have a question.
Yeah.
You asked us to collect other objects that are connected with the main one. So I was wondering why.
No, so I think what I would like you to do is, I think it's really interesting and a kind of a creative spark to always keep a basket of objects close by, either in a physical meeting or in these virtual meetings, to help you to explain things, to help you to communicate. So this is sort of the beginning of your lovely collections, and hopefully you'll create more and use them in your work. Or in your personal conversations, or in, like, we also do them here in little family games. We use objects. So yeah, that was my take, was just to get you to start collecting.
Okay.
Objects.
Or as Miriam suggested, as a talking piece. You can say, okay, it's my turn to talk now.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was great. Thank you very much. And if there are other sessions, other sorts of games, I will be happy to join again.
Excellent.
Have a nice evening.
Thanks, Manuela. See you soon. Stay in touch.
If there's anybody else, I think, Andy, you have, do you have anything, or?
No, that was it. I think that was it. Would you like some Special Imagination Club feedback?
Yes, absolutely. That's why
Excellent.
I'm here.
That's why you're here. Okay, fine. Well, let's do the classic 3 questions. As you all know, and I won't do the speech, as you all know, we've traveled far and wide to find the best 3 feedback questions ever. And so what I'd like to just get out of you spontaneously was, what did you like about the workshop? What was it you liked? Miriam?
It was playful, and it took me out of a comfort zone, because it's to try out something electronically on the computer. And I'm really happy that it worked out, because you never know, am I too stupid to use this? But luckily we did. And yeah, it was a nice invitation to try out Miro.
Yes, indeed. The time flew by. Absolutely, that's always a good indication of having fun.
Yeah.
Dalia.
I like very much how you created this mood of exploring, and it's like kind of, there are no right way to do this. It's just we are doing something and see what happens. And kind of going forward without strict rules, which is sometimes not comfortable for me, but I am, exploring more and more about that, and it was really what I needed today. So thank you.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Anybody else?
I love the originality of it. Sort of this whole. First, I followed this story for quite some time, and so I want to congratulate Jules on this huge shift of being able to take something that was so grounded in literally something tangible, and then shift over to something that was so virtual. And I was really impressed with that. I didn't think it could. I think there's going to be a lot of potential that you could use this and stay and engage people. And really bring out some fun stuff and maybe some interesting stuff, and I think it's going to be a great tool. I'm excited to learn it for myself, but I think I'm just very happy for you that you made this big shift, and I can see that it really can work. It really can work. Bravo.
It was fun to watch you guys doing it, actually, because I to be honest, I haven't seen it. So I made it and then I gave it to you, and then you did it. So I was like, okay, phew. Okay.
Yeah, no, well done for trying. Ellen.
I was astonished by the detail. If you enlarge the object, then it's so real. I really loved it. I noticed that I work with computers a lot, and sometimes I even design some stuff graphically on my computer. So it was and even though this was still difficult for me, so if you have people who are not that capable with a computer or with a mouse, I think this is very tricky. I think you need your 20 minutes in order to find out what you're able to do with it or not.
Yeah.
What I liked about ours is that Miriam said, I want to do it very intuitively. So just pick an object I like and put it somewhere, and it was there very fast. And then I was like, I don't want to change this because it's really, the first try is always your best try. I wanted to create other things, but that means that I had to change it. And then something went wrong because I tried some buttons, and then our eye disappeared, our lovely swirly eye disappeared. So it's also emotional, you know, like also working together. If something goes wrong or it's not really what you want. But what I do like about Miro, by the way, that you can't do in real life is enlarge and make it smaller.
Yeah, and duplicate.
And duplicate and stuff like that.
A lovely thing that the paper clip can be huge and the banana tiny, you know, I mean.
Yeah. You can use a banana as hair, but you can also use it as a smile, it's true. I did a similar workshop before where we went out to the streets and looked for things on the ground, anything we found, with some Dutch designers. And then we had to put them on a large paper, and we could create things, whatever. If it was, it didn't have to be a face, but it was really nice to see how you can make from ugly things really major artworks.
Yeah, beautiful things. Yeah, no, exactly.
Really beautiful things.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I also was excited to see, like you said, the
Jules, you're supposed to be quiet at this point. You're supposed to be getting feedback.
Oh.
No, just
I did like that there was no lagging in the when you were working with the objects. That worried me anyway.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Feedback, Andy?
Sorry, yes, please do. What did you like?
I just wanted to say thank you, Jules. I think it's really generous to help other people to learn this while you're learning it yourself. And it's like all of these tools are new to a lot of people, and it's going to set off fires in different minds for different reasons and how they can use them. So I think it's a super kind of you to take the time to show other people how to use it.
Indeed. Seconded and thirded and fourth and fifth, I think. Which brings me to my second question. This could go on a long time, but for the second question, is there anything that you would really change? Something that didn't work you'd like to leave out, or something you thought was missing? What would you change? Ellen?
I would explicitly say use your imagination a lot. I think some people, I have a vivid imagination, and I can keep going on and on and on and on and on, but not everybody has that, I think. And maybe, and also one way is like, you know, throwing a ball. Once, like, if there are people who really have to work harder to get to their imagination, because everybody has imagination. The teacher of my son said, not everybody has an imagination. I don't know that. So like, yeah, this intuitive thing. If I say ball, would you say it? And you can maybe, yeah. Some people need more inspiration to get to their imagination. Or even a manual.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good feedback. Anybody else?
I had a little bit difficulty because I saw in my screen quite small that table, and it was really not easy to move these objects and things like that. So maybe you could advise in advance that people would use maybe bigger screens, or how to make that part bigger or something like that, because it was really it took some time to do things.
Okay, so maybe, yeah, in fact, that was one of my comments I was gonna say. Maybe because you don't know the level of the people at the company, maybe you need even a slightly longer explanation of how to manipulate the images, but slower, because you do it so fast because you're used to it, but other people need to see where your mouse cursor is and not just say it. So maybe slow down. This is how you turn an object. This is how you put it back. This is how you move it. This is how you zoom in, zoom out. Yeah, but quite slow. So even though I know you mentioned you thought you talked a lot at the beginning, but I think an explanation is necessary to cover both Ellen's and Dahlia's points. Very good. Anybody else? What would you change?
I would think also, Jules and I talked about this earlier today, that you really need to validate that everyone is signed into Miro before you start.
Yeah.
Because Manuela wasn't, and we lost half of our time getting her signed in.
Indeed.
And also, I agree with Andy about the demo. I think the demo also, when you're manipulating things, it's a good idea for you just to make a fake face at the beginning, like a super fast one.
Yeah.
And make it really random. To what Ellen said, you know, a paperclip can be a nose, or it could be an ear, or it could be anything. But some people don't give themselves permission to do that. So if you start with that, then they have permission.
Yeah, I'm big on that. Excellent. Miriam, you looked as though you were about to say something.
I don't know. I'm happy. I'm so surprised that it all worked out so well.
Fantastic. They were good. They were good.
How could you know that we can manage this? I mean, you know, it's really amazing, and I admire this audaciousness just to try it out. Just great.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Okay, well, that brings me to my final. Oh, Mike.
That one, you know, there's just little details I think going along the best approach in this. You know, it took me uncomfortably long period before I could like find myself and then figure out how to write my name, and then my name was so small that it was unseeable. So, you know, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I'm supposed to write in 24 font size, but then I couldn't find where the font size was, and so I kind of just lost myself in a little bit. Dahlia, you were very, very patient with me. Thank you. As I just tried to figure myself out. So maybe just a few, even, you know, what I've done in a few Zoom sessions is I've set a slide out there, or I've broadcasted a simple instruction that can help people.
Actually, there's a lesson I learned today. I forgot that in the reactions and that you can ask for help. Several people asked for help.
Yeah.
And I think that was a good thing. So maybe you can specify, if you need help, this is where you ask for help. So that was handy. That was handy.
And we had to figure out the going back and forth part. So.
Yeah. We're all learning here. It's all a lot of fun. And that brings me to the last question. And I'm going to reuse a word that's already been used this evening when I give my feedback. But what will you take away with you? What will you take away with you from tonight? What did you learn about yourself?
I had a great time with Manuela. I just we were on it. The minute we got started, there was no introduction. There was nothing. We were just like blah, you know. And what I really and that happens a lot in a lot of these virtual meetings, is that it clicks or it doesn't, and then you have to go walk it back and then make it click somehow. So I think that was I was just really lucky to land with her, and it was just gorgeous. And it reminded me how lucky we are to have this opportunity too, to just like meet people you may never meet any other way. And especially in the Imagination Club, we're meeting people all the time, new people. So it's a great way to re-energize with the Imagination Club.
Indeed. Best of both worlds.
For me, I can see some promise in terms of using Miro to, you know, in whether it's in a breakout room or plenary session, to help people, you know, discover and explore issues and questions between themselves. You know, there's this. It's not, obviously it's not the live version with the touching and things like that, but there's something still mentally going on that I do think is connecting, and I think that's really exciting and valuable, and it's just different. You know, I'm glad we didn't do the yellow stickies in a way, because, you know, I think everybody's kind of tired of yellow stickies in my world personally. So it shows there's this whole other world out there that we can just co-create, and that's really, I think, what my key takeaway is. There's a lot of programs out there, a lot of apps, software that is applicable, and you opened my eyes to see that. So thanks, Jules.
Anybody else? Yes, Dahlia.
Maybe for me the main thing was it was like a reminder to myself to use and trust my intuition more than like having always the reason and just go with ideas.
Yeah, indeed. And I think that leaves me. I'm going to reuse Miriam's word. You gave us all permission to be audacious tonight. That's what I'll take away with us. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. So let's give her a round of applause, everybody. Fantastic, fantastic.
Can I
Well
steal
done.
that quote, Andy? You
Yeah.
to be audacious.
Yeah, isn't that good? Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I like it. Well, thanks to Miriam, really. She came up with the word. She brought it into our dictionary.
Or maybe you should change it to, do you need permission to be audacious?
Yeah, indeed. A question. Yes, indeed. There you go. Yeah, just do you need permission? No.
Depends who you're hanging out with, Ellen.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, you know, in my environment,
yeah, indeed.
I think they need permission to be audacious. In the Flemish world,
you do. Well, you just do it. Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of a wonderful imagination club. Yeah, fantastic. It warms the cockles of my heart to have workshops like this that are so experimental and so on the edge and so, yeah, so playful. So
I want to thank you all for your patience with me, since it's really the first Zoom I've ever, well, I didn't even run it, actually. Luckily, Andy ran it, but yeah, I'm happy that you all were very patient with the whole process. So thank you for that.
Indeed. There you go.
It opens a whole new world for us. Thank you very much.
Indeed, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
You're the winner, Jules. You're the winner.
Yeah.
71, number 71 today.
Wow.
I love I could be part of it without planning my family and traveling to well, I work now in Brussels, so it should be easier.
Yeah.
But work in Hasselt, it was really difficult to come to Brussels. Even though, and now it just, hey, I'm out of here. Been 5 months. I have to put on Zoom, and you can participate and meet nice people. So
excellent.
I hope that this stays sometimes in Corona, like these experimental things and meetings online.
Yeah, indeed. And on that point, actually, I might just give you this information, because I've been thinking about it. Jeffrey's not going to be around much in the summer, but I'm here. I don't think I've got any plans. So I may hold the Odd Imagination Club in the summer, which is incredibly rare. We've never really done that in the summer. But because it's so easy to do, and I love doing it, I think maybe there'll be at least one in both July and in August. So, yeah, just keep checking your inboxes and the Facebook group. I'll do at least one, I think, in July. So keep an eye out for those. And if you've got any ideas, want to hold one, you know where to find me.
In the future,
yeah.
when I'm more audacious.
Absolutely. You don't need permission, Ellen. Remember that.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, well, have a wonderful evening.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, Jules.
Yeah, thank you. It was wonderful.
There you go.